everybody. Apologies again for the maybe not such good video quality. I still haven't got my phone back, I'm afraid, and I'm aware also that the sound may not be great, so I will try to speak as loud as I can. Particular apologies for anybody who's new. Usually my classes are much better, but I'm having a problem with my phone at the moment, so next week the quality and the sound will be better, so please just bear with me for this week. Very sorry. Welcome, my name is Vicky, if you don't know me, from Uccelli Yoga, and Wednesday is Yin Yang Yoga Day. So these sessions are intended to just give you a break in your day, to stretch, to move, and to try and bring just a bit of calm and perhaps focus to the mind. These sessions are on average around 30 minutes long, and you can expect to feel, experience a bit of yin and a bit of yang, so two different approaches to yoga, the yang being more active, more flowing, moving, and the yin being more passive, static and slower. So that's it in a nutshell, so let's get going. So if you just want to find a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you, just for a couple of minutes before we actually start the physical practice. So find your seated position. Just bring the shoulders up and back. Allow the arms to relax, the shoulders to relax. Close your eyes. Imagine that you have a thread from the top of your head going to the ceiling, holding you straight. Bring the chin down a little bit if you feel like you're holding the head up. And just for a few moments, just notice your breath. Notice which part of the body you can feel moving with the breath. Perhaps the shoulders are going up and down, the chest, the belly. Just notice the movement of the body with the normal, natural breath. Okay, so then just open your eyes, and this session today is going to be all on the floor. So if you just want to sit on your bum, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. So do them a bit wider than the hips, the hands on the floor behind you, doesn't matter what direction your fingers are pointing. Not important. So then, just drop the knees to the right. And then over to the left. So we're just loosening at the hips here. And just notice the movements that you're making. And you'll notice that one thigh comes up. One hip comes up, and maybe you might feel, you probably do, that the torso is twisting. You might even want to look over the opposite shoulder just to increase that twist a little bit. Loosening up the hips. Okay, and then after you've been to the left, bring the feet back to the center, just rearrange yourself. Now we're going to do the same thing, we're going to drop the knees, but this time keep the sitting bone. So we're going to drop the knees to the right, keep the sitting bone of the left on the floor. When you feel it starting to lift, that's where you stop. So just again, drop the knees to the right, slowly go to the point where you feel that left sitting bone is starting to rise and stop. Now notice where the tension is in this left leg. Are you feeling it more on the outside, more on the inside? Where is the tension there? And then we're going to drop the legs to the left, same thing, just when that right sitting bone starts to lift, stop. And notice the tension in the right leg. Also notice the position of the legs here. Are they further down, for example, than on the other side, higher up? Is that tension in that leg the same or different to the other? So let's do it one more time. Drop the knees to the right, to the point where the sitting bone starts to rise. Notice where you're feeling the tension in the left leg. And then the opposite side, down to the left. Keeping the sitting bones on the floor. How does it feel in the right leg this time? And then we're going to continue doing this, but this time, so we're dropping the knees to that point, to the right side, and then we're going to keep going. So lift the left hip, place the left hand on the right knee, and then just turn. However much you want to. Then coming back to the center again. Knees go to the left. Go to that point, notice that, and then keep going. So you're going to twist round to the right this time, to whatever point you want to with that twist. Then you can continue doing that, noticing the movements, placing the hand on the leg or maybe on the floor. If you've done my yin yoga class on twists, you'll know that actually the arms and the legs, they're more for levers, so you can use the arms here just to perhaps twist yourself a bit further round if you want to. So now I want you just to play with this. Play with the position of the arms, putting the hands on the floor to twist a bit further, or maybe putting the hands on the legs, or allow the arms to come up. Play with it. As I said, this one, I didn't say actually, but this session I want you to play with the poses. And I want you to see what they feel like in your body and what they're doing. So for example, if you raise the hip up and the arm up, where are you feeling that compared to if you keep the hand on the floor? Stretching the hips, for example, maybe stretching the front of the torso. You will be stretching the front of the torso. Maybe change the arm position. Maybe you might want to go backwards, extending the spine. I don't really care what you do here. I want you to experiment with it and see how it feels in the body. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just experimenting myself. Play with it. Hands on the floor, hands in the air, hips on the floor, hips in the air, doesn't matter. In fact, the more movements, the better. You might even want to try bringing the feet a bit closer to you. How does that change the twist? Maybe staying up in the air. If you put the arm in the air, just staying that little bit longer. And then come back to the center. So now for a slightly more yin, I want you to move into what we call in yin yoga a deer position. So front knee at approximately a right angle, approximately, and the left foot is, the left knee is bent, and as you can see, the left foot goes towards the back hip of the left leg. So you can play with that a bit if you need to, if you feel that if that's hurting your knees in any way, just play with it, make the, move the feet a bit further out, for example, or a bit further in. And then what I want you to do is I just want you to twist to the right side, so to the front leg. As I said, you can go as far as you want. You can use the hands, the arms as levers. Go to whatever point you want, and seeing as this is more yin, then what I want you to do is make it passive. So when you've come to your stopping point, relax. Close the eyes. We're going to stay here for about a minute. And with yin yoga, we relax into the pose. So we're not pushing. We're going with what the body naturally wants to do. Noticing if we're tensing our muscles anywhere, if we're clenching anything, and if we are, see if we can soften that. And notice where you're feeling this again in the body. So we've got this twist in the torso and in the spine. You may be feeling a stretch on the back hip flexors, maybe the quads, depending on the positioning of your back leg. If you'd like to feel more stretch in the back leg, then just, with attention, move that back leg further back, so that when you twist, basically it's pulling on those muscles, but just do it without force. And then again, relax. Just another 10 seconds or so, and then we're going to move to the other side. So come to the center, and then switch to the other side. So this time, the right foot is more towards the outside of the right hip, and the left leg is approximately at a right angle. Again, play with the legs if you're feeling anything in the knees here. Bring that right foot further back if you'd like more stretch in the hip flexors, and then twist to the left. You can move the hips a bit if you want to. Get to that natural stopping point, the place where you want to be, where you're feeling the stretch in the areas you want to feel it. Using the arms as levers. And if by any chance anybody's feeling this is very uncomfortable in the lower back, then what I would suggest is just try moving the torso, maybe further up. Or you might even want to try, which is absolutely fine, going down onto the elbows or onto the hands. That's okay as well, that's fine. Experiment, play with it. About 45 seconds, just relax, close the eyes. Notice where you're feeling this in the body. Then when you're ready, let's come back to the center. And although that wasn't as long as we would usually do in a yin class, which would be around three minutes on these shorter ones usually, it still was, we still were in that pose for a minute or so. So let's just do a counter pose. So if you've got blocks, or if you've got books of the same height, you can put them next to you. I'm going to give you a couple of options. So the first one is just to put your hands in front of the knees, knees bent, and then it's like a sitting cat-cow. So first of all, you can just, as you breathe out, then you can just curve the spine, sit back. And then as you breathe in, you're sitting up to give a bit of extension, maybe putting the head back. Breathing out, curving the spine. Breathing in, sitting up, extending the back, looking up. Breathing out, curving the spine. Breathing in, extending the spine. So if you're happy with that, then stay there and just keep doing that one. Now I'm going to give you some other options if you've got blocks and books, and if you want to do this. So put them by the hips, maybe a bit behind, put the hands on the blocks, and then just push into them, and then just open the chest. This is important. Now, just lift up so your bum is just hovering. Keep that back, that chest open. See how that feels. If that's not really working for you, then just continue with what we were doing before with the seated cat-cow. That's flashing. I hope that it doesn't mean any problems. If this is okay, then keeping that chest open, you can push the hips up, extending, not the back so much, but extending the hips. And then you can come down, and you can do the same thing as before, which is sitting, hovering over the floor, or you can sit on the floor, or I'll give you another option. So let's just push up again, hips pushing up, and then as you're coming down, the toes are going up, the legs are straightening, we're going backwards, we're curving the spine. And then coming up again, pushing the hips up, extending the hips. And then we're coming back, hovering if that's okay. And straightening the legs, curving the spine. Again, doing this with attention, keeping the chest open. And doing it with the breath. One more. Of whatever version you're doing, and that may just be seated cat-cow, which is absolutely fine. It's all about the spine. And then come back to the center. Next one that we're going to do, wow, it's 18 minutes already. Time flies. Cat-cow. So, go onto your hands and knees. Yeah, we're going to do a cat-cow, but I want you to do it more in the way that your body wants. So we'll just start as we breathe in. Extend the spine. As you breathe out, curve the spine, push into the hands, curve the spine. Breathe in. Head goes up, hips go up. Breathe out, curving the spine. Breathe in, extending. Now you can tuck your toes or not, you choose. I'm choosing to, but it's completely up to you. You can untuck them, that's absolutely fine. Notice how the spine feels as you're making these movements. And then as you breathe out. So we're just going to add another movement. So for example, as you breathe in, same thing, extend the spine. As you breathe out, curve and push back onto the heels, stretching the arms. Breathe in, extending. Breathe out, curving, pushing back to the heels. Breathe in, extending. Breathe out, pushing back into child's pose, basically. Breathe in, extending. Let's do another one. Breathe out, curve the spine. Stay up for now. Breathe in. I want you to make big circles to the right. And then up to the left and to the top again. So doing this, you're extending as you're going down and curving as you're going up. Paying attention to the movements that you're making and making sure to go the opposite direction as well. So big circles, still continuing to extend and to flex the spine. So to curve and arch the spine. Do it with the breath. Notice the movements that you're making. And then another one that you could do maybe is you could push down into some kind of up dog and back into child's pose. That's another option as well. Do it gently, don't do it forcefully. Be careful of your joints. And then what I want you to do is I want you to make it your own. So then just do whatever your spine wants you to do. Moving forwards, moving backwards. Where do the hips want to go? What movement does the spine want to make? Don't look at me. Do what your spine wants you to do. Listen to it. What movements does it need? I imagine many of you, I don't know how many there I can see, or later on if you watch, will be sitting all morning. So let's move the spine around. What does it need? Circles, left and right, whatever you want. Okay, and then come to center. And then I want you to bring your right foot between your hands. Bring the right foot between the hands. So what we would call in yin yoga, we would call this dragon. But we're going to do a more yang version of it first, activating the muscles. Okay, so get your stability and then just come up here in the center first. So you may have heard in yoga the expression sometimes of scissoring the legs together. So feeling as if the front leg and the back leg are kind of being drawn towards each other. So a good way that I learned recently to do this movement, to keep the legs strong, is to take, in this situation, the right knee is at the front, put the right hand on the outside of the right knee, push the right knee into the right hand, push the hand into the right knee. Feel the strength there. And imagine that you're kind of bringing that foot, the back of that foot, more towards the midline, whilst also pressing the knee against the hand and the hand against the knee. Feel the strength. Keep the leg like that. Lift the arms up, stretch the arms up. You can link the thumbs if you want. So we're stretching the torso, we're stretching the arms, but the legs are still strong. This is yang, this is active, this is using the muscles. And then on the next out breath, bring the hands down, and we're going to make this a yin dragon. So now, just for a minute or so, now allow yourself to sink into this pose, feeling the stretch, hopefully, on the front of the back leg, the hip flexors, maybe the quads. If it's too much, just bring that knee in. And then try again. And the front leg, you may be feeling it in different places on the front leg. Keep it passive. Without pushing. To get into the deep connective tissue. As opposed to what we were doing before, which is we were activating the muscles. We want to go deeper than that with yin, or with a more yin-like approach, which is what we're doing here. Okay, and then we're going to move directly So just come back, pushing back. So bend that right knee. Now be very careful of this pose, please. That was a teacher's voice. I'm a teacher, I guess. Right, so we're going to bend that front knee, straighten the back leg as we were doing before. So in a yang form of yoga, this would be called pigeon, and actually quite often would be aiming, apparently, to have more of a right angle here. I don't want you to do that. It may be that your body cannot do that, may never be able to do that, but ultimately we need to be really careful of the knee. So if you are literally just, this front leg is just a bit bent, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We want to be feeling it in the outside right hip. So if you're not feeling that, you could drop down to your right hip and very small movement, perhaps bring that foot forward a bit, then go back up again. See if you're feeling it in the side of the right leg now. Checking the knee is okay. If the knee's not okay, put the foot back. Okay, so if we're doing it more active to start with, active swan or pigeon, then we're extending the back, as you can see. You might, if you like, you could even straighten that back leg if you wanted to, for strength, to feel a strong back leg. If you wanted to do that, that's okay. But I want you to just actively, just kind of push into the hands a bit. You could put the blocks underneath the hands if you wanted to. Actively pushing, minding your knee, being careful of your lower back as well, making sure that's not hurting. If it is, I would suggest going forward a bit, being not so upright. And then we're going to move into a yin version. So then just walk forward. We call this sleeping swan. Walk forward and allow the body to relax. Now, if there's too much stretch in the side of the right leg now, again, drop down onto the right hip and don't bend the knee quite as much. So bring the foot a bit closer towards you. Go back up. Fold forward. See if that's okay. We want to stretch in the side of the right leg, but we don't want it to be painful. Alternatively, if you haven't got enough, same thing. Sit back down on the right hip. Take that right foot further away from you. Come back up. Check, have I got a nice stretch on the side that I can stay in for another half a minute or so? And fold forward. Never allow your body to be in pain, but we do want to feel stretch. It can be hard to differentiate sometimes between the two, but it's really important that we try to do that. Notice how it feels. Adjust the pose if it's too much or if it's not enough. And then we're going to come out, so then just come back up, sit down on your right hip, and just bring the legs into a cross-legged position. Just close your eyes for a moment before we go to the other side. Just notice how that right leg feels. And then we'll move to the other side. So back onto hands and knees. And bring the left foot between the hands. For dragon, first of all. Okay. So again, just find your position, get your steadiness. Then come up to the center. You might be a bit wobbly, that's fine. Push into that floor, push into the floor with the front foot. Left hand on the outside, push into the hand pushes into the leg so that that front leg is strong. Keep that position, keep that feeling in the leg, that activation of the muscles. Bring the arms up And stretch. Stretch the torso, stretch the arms, keeping the legs strong, scissoring towards each other, as you would hear sometimes in yoga. That's quite a common expression. Keeping that strength in the legs, breathing. Next out breath, bring the hands down on either side of the foot and then allow the body now, let gravity bring it down without any pushing. Naturally dropping down. See if you can feel that stretch on the back hip flexor. If it's too much, bring the knee in. You might want to put something underneath the knee here as well if it's digging into the floor. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Focus on the sensations in the legs. See how it feels compared to when we were doing it in a more yang form, in a more active form. How does it feel in the legs? Okay, and then we're going to push back, pushing back, and this time we're going to move into pigeon or swan. So bend that front knee, bend that front knee and keep that back leg straight. You can push it out a bit further if you want to. Remember, you can always move this knee around as well. You can move it more out to the side, you can move it more to the center. But do be aware of having a good stretch in the side of the left leg, in the glutes. Okay, play with that. Hands on the floor or on blocks. And then keep it active. So we're pushing into the floor, extending the spine. Walking the hands forward if it's hurting in the lower back at all. As far forward as you need to. Maybe straightening the back leg if you wanted to, or perhaps you might even want to go between straightening and letting it drop, as long as that's okay with the leg, as that's okay with the knee. Perhaps you might want to do that, play with it. And then we're going to move into the yin version, sleeping swan. Walk forward, drop down. Adjust the back leg if you need to, adjust the knee if you need to. As I said, if you want more stretch, drop down onto the outside hip. Try bringing the foot forward a bit and then go back up again and see if you've got more there. Alternatively, if you want less, again, drop down onto that hip, bring the foot closer to you and then go up again and fold forward. As I said, you can always move the knee around as well. You can move it out to the side. You can move it further forward. We don't have as much time as a normal yin class, but you can start to feel how it's different by just moving the body a bit. Okay, and then just come back up to the center again. Drop down onto the left hip. And we're going to move into our final rebound or shavasana. So you can do that on your back, on your front, or maybe you might want to do it seated. So it's just a time to allow your body to take in the practice. Allow the mind perhaps to take in the effects as well, not perhaps. It is. So you just choose whatever's most comfortable for you for the last few minutes. Just spend a bit of time getting comfortable, close your eyes, and just for a couple of minutes, we're just going to sit or lie in silence. So just take your time opening your eyes, and just in your own way, without any sudden movements, make your way back to a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed for now if that's okay. And that's all for today for this yin-yang yoga session. That's all I have to say, really. I hope you have an enjoyable rest of the day, and I hope this has helped to help you move into the next part of your day. Thank you so much. Namaste.